The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as 17-year-old Zara Williams approached Gate 12 at Denver International Airport. Her boarding pass crinkled slightly in her nervous grip. She wore a simple black hoodie, jeans, and white sneakers, the same outfit half the passengers around her seemed to be wearing. "Next!" called Marcus, the gate agent, his voice cutting through the terminal noise. Zara stepped forward, extending her boarding pass with a smile. "Hi! Flying to Atlanta today." Marcus barely glanced at the pass before his eyes swept over her appearance. His expression hardened. "I'm sorry, miss, but you don't meet our dress code requirements." "Excuse me?" Zara's eyebrows shot up. "What dress code?" "Hoodies aren't permitted in first class," Marcus replied curtly, crossing his arms. Zara looked around, bewildered. 3 rows behind her, a white teenager in an identical black hoodie chatted on his phone, boarding pass ready. To her left, a middle-aged man in a wrinkled t-shirt and flip-flops had just walked through the gate. "But sir, that guy right there." She pointed. "Don't argue with me, miss. Step aside." The boarding area grew quiet. Passengers turned to stare. Zara felt heat rising in her cheeks, but she stood firm. "I'd like to speak with your supervisor, please." Marcus rolled his eyes and picked up his radio. "Rachel, need you at gate 12. Within minutes, Rachel Torres, the gate supervisor, arrived. She was a stern woman in her 40s with tired eyes and an impatient demeanor. "What seems to be the problem here?" Rachel asked, not looking at Zara directly. "This young lady refuses to comply with our dress code policy," Marcus explained. "I'm not refusing anything." Zara's voice rose slightly. "I'm asking why my hoodie is a problem when other passengers are wearing the same thing." Rachel glanced around briefly, then back at Zara. "Our policy is clear. Business casual attire required for first-class passengers." "Then why did that man just board?" Zara pointed to the passenger in flip-flops disappearing down the jet bridge. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to lower your voice," Rachel said sharply. Zara pulled out her phone and began recording. "I'm documenting this because I believe I'm being discriminated against." "Put that phone away right now," Marcus snapped. "Recording in public spaces is legal," Zara replied calmly, though her heart was pounding. "And I'm calling my mother." The crowd grew larger. Other passengers began murmuring among themselves. Some pulled out their own phones. Zara dialed quickly. "Mom, I need you at Gate SHR, Terminal B. They won't let me board because of my hoodie, but they're letting white passengers with identical clothing through." The voice on the other end was calm but firm. "I'll be there in 10 minutes, sweetheart. Don't move." Rachel overheard part of the conversation. "Security is on their way, miss. I suggest you cooperate." "I am cooperating," Zara said steadily. "I'm waiting for my mother." 2 security guards approached, their radios crackling. "What's the situation here?" "Passenger is being disruptive and refuses to comply with airline policies," Rachel explained. "That's not true," said an elderly woman from the boarding line. "I've been watching the whole thing. She's been nothing but polite." More passengers nodded in agreement. A businessman added, "I saw 3 people in similar clothing board without any issues." The security guards looked uncomfortable. They could see the phones recording and hear the murmur of support for Zara. 10 minutes later, the sound of official footsteps echoed across the terminal floor. A woman in a navy blue suit approached with purpose, her heels clicking rhythmically. She carried a leather briefcase and wore an expression of controlled authority. "Zara, are you all right?" the woman asked, embracing her daughter. "I'm fine, Mom. They just won't let me board." Diana Williams turned to face the airline staff. Rachel and Marcus suddenly looked less confident. "I'm Diana Williams," she announced, reaching into her briefcase. "And I'm the Inspector General for the Federal Aviation Administration." She produced her official credentials, holding them up for everyone to see. The golden badge gleamed under the terminal lights, the color drained from Rachel's face. Marcus took a step backward. Now then, Diana continued, her voice carrying the weight of federal authority. I understand there's been some confusion about dress code policies. I'd like to review your gate records for the past hour, please. Ma'am, we were just following protocol. Rachel stammered. Protocol? Diana's eyebrow arched. Show me where in your official policy manual it states that hoodies are prohibited in first class. Marcus fumbled with his computer tablet, scrolling desperately through pages of airline regulations. Sweat beaded on his forehead, Diana turned to the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, I need witnesses. Did anyone observe other passengers in casual attire boarding this flight? A chorus of voices responded affirmatively. The businessman spoke up. At least 6 people in hoodies or t-shirts boarded before this young lady was stopped. Diana nodded and pulled out her own phone. I'm requesting immediate access to your security footage from the past 2 hours. This terminal has cameras covering every gate. Within minutes, airport security arrived with a tablet showing the footage. Diana reviewed it methodically, her expression growing more serious with each passing moment. Interesting, she murmured. In the past 90 minutes, 12 passengers wearing casual attire were permitted to board. All 12 were white. The first passenger of color to approach in similar clothing was my daughter. Rachel's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Diana continued, as Inspector General, I have the authority to ground this aircraft and launch a full discrimination investigation. However, I'm prepared to handle this matter more quietly if we can reach an immediate resolution. The terminal had grown completely silent except for the soft hum of air conditioning and distant announcements. First, Diana stated firmly, my daughter will board this flight immediately, with a formal apology from both of you. Rachel and Marcus nodded frantically. Second, I want the names of every staff member who witnessed this incident and failed to intervene. Yes, ma'am, Rachel whispered. Third, within 30 days, I expect a comprehensive review of your company's boarding procedures and mandatory bias training for all gate personnel. Diana paused, looking at the crowd of passengers who had supported her daughter. And finally, every passenger who witnessed this discrimination and spoke up on behalf of justice will receive a travel voucher as thanks for their courage. The crowd erupted in surprised murmurs and grateful smiles. Marcus cleared his throat nervously. Miss Williams, we sincerely apologize for this misunderstanding. Please, board whenever you're ready. Zara looked at her mother with pride shining in her eyes. Thanks, Mom. Diana smiled and hugged her daughter. Never let anyone make you feel less than who you are, sweetheart. And remember, sometimes justice needs a little help finding its way. As Zara walked down the jet bridge, passengers applauded. The elderly woman who had first spoken up patted Diana's shoulder. That was beautiful to watch, she said. Your daughter is lucky to have you. Diana watched her daughter disappear into the aircraft. Actually, I think I'm the lucky one. She handled herself with more grace and dignity than most adults would have. The flight departed on time. By the next morning, the airline had implemented new anti-discrimination training protocols. Marcus and Rachel were suspended pending investigation, and Zara Williams. She arrived in Atlanta knowing that her voice mattered, that justice was possible, and that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to accept unfair treatment. The system wasn't perfect, but with people willing to stand up and fight back, it could be changed. One boarding gate, one moment of courage, one mother's love at a time.